This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics that impact you, the viewer. Today, our guest is Puneet Ahluwalia. Puneet, welcome to our show and thank you. It was nice seeing you.
Good to see you, Frank.
So tell me a little bit about yourself before I ask you other questions.
Well, Frank, we've known each other for a long time. We're here, been in the country for 26 years, 16 years in Republican politics, and now I'm running for State Central, which is the governing body of the state party of Republican Party.
So that's what I wanted to talk about. What's the State Central and its role in your state party politics?
State Central is the governing body of the Republican Party of Virginia, which lays down the Republican plan for the state. That's one. And the other important aspect is it deals with the nomination process of candidates, anywhere from school board all the way up to the governors and the U.S. senators. So you can call them as managing.
Is this pretty unique for Virginia, Puneet?
No, it's not unique. It's basically, it's been there for a long time, but we never had anybody who wanted to run for State Central because it's an important position, and you don't just get there. You have to be a party activist for a very long time to be.
You got to pay your dues.
Yes.
So that's the role of the State Central, and you're running for the office. The question is, what sparked you an interest to get engaged and involved in politics and also run for this office, and why you're better than anybody else is?
Well, first thing is I have been involved for 16 years. The reason is when I came to the United States and I realized after September 11th, I used to actively participate in politics, but I realized it's better to go into mainstream and be more active, because if we do not participate and we don't share our values, we are not ambassadors of our own community in the mainstream, people really don't know us. We are viewed as tourists or people who are here just coming here, making a great living.
So you're creating a common cause because the fact that you make sure the voice is heard, make sure you have a seat on the table.
I guess the seat on the table is very overrated in my opinion. I think the fact is we are all here. This is our nation. This is our country. Our kids are growing up here. You have to participate in
the political process.
Beside the political, in every aspect of our nation's decision making, and especially when the country has become very divisive in the last few years, in the last 7 years, I would say, that it's more important for us to play a role. We are not just a minority. We are a successful intellectual and an AA plus
part of the mainstream.
No, we're not part of the mainstream. What I'm saying is, as an Indian community has really mushroomed and become very successful in the last 15 to 20 years, we have to be actively playing a role in political process and all other aspects of life in the United States and in the mainstream.
So you touched upon a little bit about Asian Americans and Indian Americans in particular. What role do they have in the political process of the Republican Party?
I think they have a huge role because they're
I know there are two governors, one from South Carolina, one from Louisiana. They are Republican, obviously, and they all know that. But it turns out that most Indian Americans, 67% vote for Democrats, not for Republicans.
I think one thing is we have not communicated what
you have not done a good job in communication. Is
well,
that what
so we haven't done a good job. I think I look at both sides. Yes, there has been issues of not communicating our values for what we believe in and what our creed is. And that means that we all, when we come as immigrants to the United States, we are here for a better life, a better opportunity, and that's the reason we come here, for the land of dreams, which it is. But the reason is we just fail to recognize the two differences in two parties. And we are all entrepreneurs. We all believe in paying less taxes. We all believe in betterment of our families.
But Ronald Reagan is the one who raised the taxes. He was a Republican.
Well, let's talk about Reagan and Nancy Reagan have passed away, and a lot of water under the bridge. Let's talk about what and where we are today, because let's not live in the past. Let's live in the present, and what faces our country and what faces our nation today is more important.
So what does it face our country or our community, the Republican Party, and you will be able to do it and to help them in that regard?
Well, first thing is, let me talk about myself. I think because
and that's what I'm interested in.
I feel that, especially in Virginia, which, as you know, is a play state, We are a very large segment, especially in the 10th district from where I'm running. We have a huge Asian American population, and especially Indian American population, and growing in Loudoun County. So it's important that we Indian Americans who are, especially in the IT field, and doctors, and
The professionals.
intellectually, and business community too, they have a lot more to lose if we don't participate, because the laws change and impacts your daily life and how you translate your success and your financials to your children.
Right.
I think that's what we Indians always think about. So I think it's important as for what I'm running is to mentor my community, share the Republican values, and more importantly, bring my community into the political process. That's one of the main reasons I'm running.
So what is the Republican value?
The values.
What binds us together?
I think we are all exceptionally patriotic. We believe in strong defense. We believe in less interference from the government. We believe in paying less taxes, and ability for us to follow and achieve our dreams, as you said, liberty and pursuit of happiness.
So those are the values that binds us together?
Of course.
As a Republican?
Well, beside it, not just...
What about the
These
social?
are American values.
No. Okay.
And I believe in social responsibility. If you talk about social responsibility, I completely agree on social responsibility, and I will touch upon the one important subject which is people talk about is guns. And the reason is when there are 2 million guns, and first thing is it's in the Second Amendment. And as a Sikh, when we have a right to bear sword or arms, which one of the 5 tenets, it's the same thing very close to the U.S. Constitution. It's the right to protect our families and our communities. And I'm very strong about that, and doesn't mean that there's always difference of opinion, and I respect that. And that's why it's democracy, and that's why it's a great nation.
So as you know, everybody says the real estate is local, so politics is local. What does that mean to the people? Tell us a little bit of the audience.
I think it's very important. I request folks to go to your school board meetings, because we care a lot about education.
Sure.
And as all politics are local, because people are always fascinated by the presidential elections. But the president is a little far removed, because if we Indians don't participate in local school board elections or county elections, because that's how you pay your taxes. If we don't do our supervisor elections or delegate elections, that's how we pay our tolls. That's how we pay for roads. That's how your property tax goes up, because that impacts your monthly outlay of cash.
Sure.
So that's the reason.
So that's the dollars and cents.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Good. So that's the definition to you means the local politics.
Yeah, local grassroots. But I also say don't be, as we are so close to Washington, you can't be a silent spectator to the whole process that's going on. So and we are a very smart community. If average income is about $60,000 to $80,000. Just brilliant people, and they've been very supportive of my...
You're the minority, you're a model out to all the people in terms of being what we're able to accomplish and embody the American dream. That's what you're saying.
I hope so. I'm honored. If you see, when the leadership asks you that I think you should run for office, it's an honor, because I think you don't realize it, how much of a responsibility one has in leading its people and being the ambassador of the community.
Wonderful thing to do, and I wholeheartedly agree. So the people who's going to elect you, who are these people who elect you? It's not like the Congress and senators that they... so explain to the audience who's going to be electing you.
Well, thank you, Frank. It's an important question, but what it is that you choose delegates. It's a convention.
Okay.
So as you've been to many conventions yourself, so you go to, you become a delegate, you sign up, and you register. And usually you have party activists and grassroots folks who come out to the convention. And my convention is on April 16th. I have to say, my Golti brothers, my Sikh brothers, my Punjabi brothers, my Hindu community, everybody came together.
The Muslims and the Christians and the rest.
Few, I would say. Of course, we live in a Christian nation. And they were very supportive of me. My whole Fairfax County leadership from the Republican Party has come out and endorsed me. I have friends in Loudoun County who have come out and supported me.
So you see a brighter horizon here in terms of being elected.
We have a bright future as a nation, but the only thing is we just have to reorganize ourselves.
Okay. So, as I understand, Puneet, you're a lobbyist also.
Yes.
Explain to me your role as a lobbyist. Well, and how do you help the business? If somebody wants to get hold of you as a lobbyist, how do they go about doing that?
Well, I think what it is sometimes people we have what you call is a very transparent way of getting access to our leadership. And in case of, let's talk about folks with the IT businesses, because they're being hampered right now, because overseas-based companies are trying to take over their business, and American jobs, which are locally created by U.S. citizens and U.S. companies, are taking a brunt of it. So the small, mid-sized companies of Indian IT companies are being hijacked by international companies. And Frank, that's one is the IT aspect of it, or a business aspect of it. But I also look at other options of doing another kind of a collation when, let's say, there are people in certain parts of a country, let's say Pakistan, and you have people from Gilgit, you have people from Balochistan, and you have people from Sindh, and also from Pashtun community, which don't feel that they are basically have ownership in the Punjab of Pakistan. So they are building a coalition and they need advice and guidance.
Oh.
So, and then you work with think tanks, and you work with the leadership, and you work with other folks who believe that because South Asia is such an important part of business and trade and a strategic alliance of our country, a strategic ally to our nation, so it's important to have stability there. So that's the other way I look at things, and building coalitions. And I also build coalition of various ethnic communities for political push-ups to win elections, to achieve appropriate goals and issues.
What's the appropriate goal it means to you?
I would say one is what your client wants to achieve. They may have a goal of at least telling the governors or the senators
Sure.
on certain product,
Sure.
on certain issues.
Sure. So, Puneet, if someone wants to hire you as a lobbyist or help you in their business in order for them to grow, how do they get hold of you?
Well, again, my number is 703-283-6644,
Okay,
or
here you
go
go,
to Facebook.
folks. Yeah.
But thank you both, Neelamaji and you, for being very kind to have me on the show, but to be able to share with people, because we do need, as a growing community, because why it's important to have one for companies over 40 to 50 million,
Sure.
because changes in laws can impact
well,
your business.
It does. The policies and the politics impacts our life and our business every day.
Luckily for you, you were able to get out and sold your company, but there are other people.
I was uniquely blessed.
Yes,
it was a good time.
No, yeah, you were very smart.
And I'm sure there are a lot of other circumstances that will arise that people will be able to cash out.
But that's the reason I provide the access not only to the political leadership, but also to the business community at the highest level.
Sure. And I think that's important for the people to have the that kind of a voice and that kind of support, that you have access. So, so question that I have: do you think our community is reactive or proactive?
I think we're very reactive, but I see there's a change in this election. I am seeing that there are people who are becoming proactive, but it's still growing.
And how do we make ourselves become an active participant in order for us to become a proactive?
I think this is one medium how you reaching out to people is through television. Is, look, folks, as you sit at home in your comfort, it's important for us to be very much vested in our future and in our kids' future and our country's future. And that's the reason why it's important for our community just not to sit back on its, oh, we are 3.4 million, but no, it's still a very small spot. And after the 3.4 million, only I would say million or million two would be citizens. And out of that, only 60% or 40% vote. So, and you can see where we are sparsely populated as a community. So it's important to organize ourselves, just not be...
so you're saying you have to be proactive in terms of the politics, in terms of the policies, in terms of
everything.
Okay.
Everything. And, you know, let's not just be concentrated in our gurdwaras or in our temples or in our religious places or in our associations, because I see our communities just sticking to that. And then when I try to approach some gurdwaras and they say, oh, geez, we don't want any political things there. Well, really? Like, the fact is, we are in a Christian nation and we are blessed. It's a great nation. Our Constitution protects us. But at the same time, we just have to go out and share our similar values. And that's very important.
I'm not going to be a spokesperson for Gurdwara or any
Gurdwaras.
kind of, whatever it is, a Sikh religious place. That's the decision they have to make.
Sure.
But your points are well taken.
Well, thank you.
In terms of the engagement of South Asian community to be proactive participant in politics. That's what you're making a point.
Yes.
What has been your success stories in terms of you being a lobbyist for the business community and for other people that you have done?
I represent right now one of the biggest companies called LexisNexis, or
Sure,
REIT as
I've
a
heard of them.
It's a $15 billion
Yes,
company.
it's a very large.
So, and then I'm also working with Transportation Alliance. I'm dealing with Monster.
Monster?
Yeah, Monster India, Monster, the job portal people.
Okay.
And so I've represented one of the largest coal companies, privately held coal companies called Murray Energy. And you know how difficult it's been for the coal companies in the last few years.
Especially in the United States.
Yeah, of course. The EPA has had overreach, and that has basically taken coal companies out of business.
Well, I don't know whether that's something we have to talk later
But I'm just
on.
saying that because I represent my client,
sure.
I have to share that when you take one coal miner makes $80,000, and when that money goes out of the economy, and coal is still about 40% of our electricity that's come from. That's the reason why electricity is so cheap. So it's important that we get the message across to people that why
they have a role to play.
Exactly.
And that's the point
bills.
you're making.
Yes, sir.
They're able to play.
Yes, sir.
So my other question to you is, you know, all these presidential elections, presidential nominees, all kinds of debate go on, and the Trump and the Cruz and the Rubio and a lot of people in the Republican Party. If you have to look at it and say where we are, what we're doing, and what's going on, how do you characterize all these things?
Well, one thing is that
this is great. This is how democracy works.
Well, I think one thing is the Republicans, we had a very large slate. Now it's narrowed down to a few people, and I think if I'm able to take the piece of each of our candidates who are there, I think we have the best candidate. But I guess we'll choose one, and that one person most likely at this point is going to be moving towards Trump or a brokered convention. And it'll be very interesting. I came out and endorsed Rubio because I felt he is someone I could relate to because he's an immigrant or a son of an immigrant and from a
So why he's against immigration reform then?
Well, he's not against immigration
reform. Well, he didn't vote.
Yeah. The reason is, you see, you have to also realize sometimes you have to put the party leadership line.
Well, but the Senate passed it. He did not even vote for it.
Well, the fact is,
he changed his mind. Can I say that?
The reason is, you see, every candidate evolves.
We'll get to the immigration reform in a minute.
You see, at least he changes his mind, but he doesn't do crooked things that'll put you in jail.
Whatever the case may be, but he's a story.
Well, there's a case right now which is under investigation by the intelligence community.
Only happen in America because his father crossed from Cuba to come over here. He should be responsible for make sure the immigrant can prosper in this nation.
And that's the reason, you see, I always look at that. You can always reason with folks who you can identify with or you can connect with. You can't reason with somebody who is a completely an institution or
so you supported Rubio and
yes.
you endorsed him. So and I hope he gets the nomination. We'll see what happens. What do you think of the other presidential, people who are running for the election?
I think most viewers will be, Trump is everybody's mind, and it's in your mind too.
Well, I don't know if it's on my mind or not.
It's because he's leading the Republican, he's been winning, and that's what it is. And I look at it this way, it's very important now when people say, well, if you don't participate, you get a candidate which you really are not happy with.
Sure.
And that's what I want to allude to. Is Trump the right or wrong? But the few millions of people who have come out, who have felt that he is the voice, he's the one who's going to be the game changer in Washington, and that's the reason they've come out. And we have to respect, because as you said also, we are a democracy. So we have to respect whatever the process is, and we have to just follow the process.
So the question to you is, Puneet, that as it unfolds,
yes, sir,
and in front of us, in terms of do you have any kind of a crystal lining that who's going to be the nominee for the president for the Republican Party?
I wish.
If so, why?
I personally feel the way it is going, its deciding factor will be Florida and Ohio. I know Kasich is going to stay in. This is what I feel.
Well, no Republican president has ever won without Ohio.
And Virginia.
And Virginia, it's Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida. Those are the battleground states.
No, not Pennsylvania. Ohio, Florida,
and
Colorado, so Mexico.
Well, those are the smaller electoral.
These three are very key. You have to win Florida, you have to win Virginia, and you have to win Ohio. And I think this is what I feel. If it's a brokered convention, you will see.
What makes you think it's going to be a brokered convention?
Well, If it is, if it is
If it is,
if it
you're
is a
not
brokered
sure yet.
convention, I'm not sure yet, because if Trump performs successfully well in Florida, then I guess you can see him as the Republican nominee. And I see him choosing a very seasoned, stable vice president who is experienced. That's what we would expect from.
Do you have any names for him?
I think Kasich would be very good.
Kasich
I'm very
will-
impressed with Kasich because
He's a
not-
moderate.
It's not about moderate. I look at the experience. He was in the Congress. He's done an exceptional job as a governor of Ohio. He's created a lot of jobs, and he knows how to work on both sides. And you have, if Trump is the president nominee and becomes the president, you have a deal maker and a person who's going to make sure that we follow the right path.
That's your man.
That would be my choice.
One of the candidates that you have in mind, I'm sure it will be all depending on the nominee of the party who will elect,
Yeah.
or who will go out and get somebody who can take this country and move forward.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you have been very much active participant in the politics in the Republican Party in the local area, at the national level. We appreciate your
Thank you.
what you do for our country to serve our community. What thought do you have for the young people who wants to be involved politically? They're just young, they just got out of the high school, they can go out and vote. And what do you think they should do?
I think this young population is very smart.
They're
In fact,
very vibrant, they're resilient, and their best days ahead of them, and they are the future of our country.
yeah. What I want to do
What
is.
would you advise them?
What I would like is, Frank, is within our own Fairfax County, I have a program, and on the leadership is to invite these young youth in and become involved in the process of understanding the politics. But the ones who are sitting at home and not really vested with the country's future right now, because it's the parents who are paying for it, I really want them to see the values between two countries or two parties. And then when you see the values, you realize that what that gravitates you. If it's Democrat, then be a Democrat or be a liberal Democrat. But don't be a socialist Democrat, because that wipes out the American dream. But that's the reason it's important to read about two values and at the same time participate, exercise your right to vote, and exercise to make a stronger future of yourself, of your parents, and of your
Good way.
nation.
Very well said, and I couldn't have said better than that. Thank you very much, Puneet, for coming.
Thank you.
That is our show. Thank you for watching. This is Frank Islam for FY Investment Group, wishing you a great week.